Hello everyone and welcome to today's cyber security webinar. I am Shalini Boudoir, the marketing from MC3, and I will be your moderator today. We have with us this afternoon Justin Collin from BUI, who will talk about the Cybersecurity Operations Center and why it is important for your business. So a recorded version of this webinar will be available after the meeting. We'd love to hear from you, so please drop down your question in the comment section below. And for those of you just joining us, welcome to our webinar. Justin, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Shalini, and good afternoon to the attendees. Just before we get started, I'd just like to say that we're in a pretty new relationship with MC3. We're excited about this relationship. We're proud to be associated with MC3 to take our cybersecurity offerings into new markets and especially into the African market. Without further ado, once again, just to introduce myself, I'm the Head of Business Development for our security operations at BUI. And on the call today, we also have Neil Duplessis, who's our Senior Cloud and Security Architect. I'll be taking you through the presentation, and Neil will be taking you through the demo around the CyberSOC and how we utilize Microsoft Sentinel. I'd like to start with this slide. It's a great little slide which was created for us by Microsoft. It's a nice little snapshot of our last 20 odd years in business. As you can see from left to right and then around to the bottom again, it basically tells a story of how we've moved along and established our relationship with Microsoft. And as you'll see on the left-hand side corner, we'll be discussing the BUI CyberSOC today. A quick history around BUI, so everyone knows where we come from. BUI was founded in 2000 in South Africa. We specialize in IT professional services around the Microsoft and Cisco platforms. In 2014, we became a national business where we opened up offices around different locations in South Africa. And in 2015, we were acquired by the First Technologies Group. Hello, sorry, apologies for that. So let me just continue with the now, which is the 2021. We've been Microsoft's #1 cloud partner of the year for 6 years running. We were the first Microsoft security partner in South Africa. We launched the CyberSOC towards the end of 2019. A very big one for us was the Azure Expert MSP accreditation, which we received middle of 2020. We also received our ACM Advanced Specialization. We were also the Microsoft Country Partner for South Africa for 2020. And exciting year for us this year. We're establishing our presence in East Africa by opening up an office in Kenya. A brief business overview of the different divisions within BUI. On the far left-hand side, we have our Market Connect team. They're responsible for the Johannesburg Stock Exchange co-location services. Next up, we have our A to Z Managed, which is the BUI Cloud Practices division. In the center is our consulting services, various consulting services around different disciplines. Next on the line is NetProtect. NetProtect is our own brand of software products that BUI has created over the years. And after that is our cybersecurity division, where I sit under. We offer the BUI Cyber SOC penetration testing, disaster recovery as a service, and Microsoft 365 security managed services. A quick slide around what we actually offer within those divisions at BUI. Number one is our cloud services. We offer capabilities that include virtualization, private cloud, Azure, Office 365, the Microsoft Enterprise Mobility, and quite a bit more around the cloud. Number two, as I said before from our previous slide, we're an ISV. We've created a brand called NetProtect, which we have various security offerings that we offer under that umbrella. Number three is, as mentioned before, is security. It's a very, very big division at BUI. I'm mentioning here again that we were the first to hold the Microsoft Gold competency for identity and security in Africa. And number four is our managed services. Managed services from cloud adoption, managed infrastructure, monitoring, operations, and support. One of my favorite slides. I'm quite proud to be associated with BUI and the achievements that they've had over the last couple of years. I'm not going to be going through every single one of these, but as you can see, we're tightly aligned with Microsoft. Now we get on to the expanding digital estates and traditional SOC challenges that we've come past in the past. Today, organizations they're faced with incredibly difficult task of trying to protect their expanded digital estate from increasing cyber threats. With the move to cloud and a mobile workforce, it's basically pushed the border of your estate beyond the boundary of your physical network, and especially now, and I suppose for the majority of last year, around COVID-19 and the majority of the workforce working remotely. Your data and users and systems are everywhere at the moment. So meanwhile, the frequency and the sophistication of attacks are ever growing. So regardless of the size of your organization or industry, you're definitely going to be a target. And, this is the challenge that we all struggle with in IT security, and it's a challenge that BUI and MC3 jointly can uniquely help you with. The SecOps mission of protecting organizations, information, and assets is becoming increasingly difficult. So attack techniques, the frequency, the complexity are evolving fast. And security teams are under strain from the expanding breadth and defense technologies, accelerating hybrid cloud adoption, and borderless zero trust networks. The shortage of SecOps talents makes this problem even worse. I'd like to take you through just a couple of the traditional SOC challenges that we've picked up in the marketplace. Considering the future needs of SOCs, these are the most prominent pain points. The first is that threats continue to grow in complexity and volume. Attacks are increasingly heterogeneous. A typical attack can span different parts of the enterprise, crosses various resource types. It might start from an IoT device, proceed to an endpoint, maybe spread to a cloud service or to a database. It could also involve multiple user accounts or tenants, and so on. Secondly, what we've picked up is alert fatigue. Traditional SOCs see too many alerts from disconnected products. Enterprise SOCs typically have dozens of security products, each producing a large volume of alerts. In isolation, these products often have high false positive rates and poor response prioritization, resulting in deafening alert noise. Attacks fall through the cracks despite generating alerts. Unfortunately, legacy SIEMs are functioning only as aggregators and don't increase response capabilities. Enterprise SOCs need a way to integrate their security products to reduce the noise, prioritize alerts, and enable investigation and hunting across the entire data set. Moving on to the global shortage of security analysts and experienced security analysts. The need for security professionals has greatly increased. The supply cannot meet current or future demand. A recent report by CSO magazine showed that the global talent shortage will increase to 3.5 million unfulfilled security jobs by 2021-2022. So this is creeping up on us extremely quickly. Another one of the traditional SOC challenges is the investigations are complex and time-consuming. Every second counts when SecOps personnel are handling a threat that might jeopardize the organization. The clock's ticking fast, but investigation requires highly skilled security analysts and can often take days or weeks. Moving on to the next is the current solutions are not architected for today's demands or tomorrow. So the legacy on-prem SIEMs require powerful hardware and extensive maintenance that make them very expensive to operate. The storage and compute needs to increase dramatically during an incident, which is difficult for an open on-prem footprint to accommodate. The move to the cloud has enabled a new degree of enterprise scale-out, and with the explosion of cloud-borne data, legacy SIEMs are less and less able to cope with the demand. Now, the part that we've all been waiting for, the introduction to BUI's CyberSOC. So the BUI CyberSOC is a dedicated 24/7, 365 cybersecurity facility that leverages the intelligent cloud to help safeguard business organizations. The BUI CyberSOC monitors your entire security landscape, which includes on-premise, cloud devices, applications, networks, infrastructure, and users. We provide a comprehensive and specialized managed SOC service, which runs on Microsoft security technology, which is powered by modern artificial intelligence-based infrastructure, which provides full security services around compliance, reporting, database, infrastructure, access monitoring, real-time threat monitoring, and so much more. Managed and monitored by our highly skilled cybersecurity professionals, provided to you as a service with near to no infrastructure requirements. So why would an organization invest in infrastructure for this service? Invest in security rather. The nature of our service allows your organization to eliminate infrastructure costs by automatically scaling your resources in for a use consumption model, allowing you to scale as required. The BUI CyberSOC provides a bird's eye view across your entire enterprise. We operate the CyberSOC within highly secured facilities and is run by our CyberSOC professionals 24/7, 365. The CyberSOC is also a built-in and customizable policy-based detection and the ability to process billions of events daily, which makes our service infinitely scalable. We offer flexible usage-based billing and include free storage for 90 days. We've simplified SecOps for a faster threat response. The cloud can help manage that complexity of the expanding digital estate, and it'll simplify and make security easy to manage. It harnesses the power of the cloud and will set your SecOps teams free of IT work and help them focus on security work with no limits. Next generation of AI and automation in the cloud helps supercharge your work. It'll leverage the large-scale intelligence available in the cloud, and it'll make it work for you. The BUI CyberSOC can scale to meet your organizational needs, so the days of storage and expensive databases and query limits are now a thing of the past. You must probably like in thinking, what about the data in your organization that you might have in another cloud offering, or maybe data that's on premise? How do we get that into the CyberSOC? Well, the CyberSOC is technology agnostic, so it doesn't really matter where your information is stored, whether it's on-prem or if it's in the cloud or even on virtual machines. We'll be able to monitor and protect your networks. The data can be stored in a data center near you, and the personal identifiable information and other evolving data privacy laws allows you to use your local cloud services and provides the opportunity for your enterprise to store security-related information in a region or a country of your choosing. So data residency is a key benefit of our solution, which has built-in redundancy, disaster recovery capabilities, so that your business, which might be grounded by PPI regulations, is compliant. What I'd like to do now is to quickly take you through a high-level overview of a typical architecture for our cyber SOC. So as you'll see on the left-hand side, we have our collect. So this is where we have the data collectors, where we are collecting your security logs from either on cloud or, in the cloud or on-premise. With all of these data logs coming into our cyber SOC, we're then able to enrich the data with intelligence. We can analyze and detect threats. We investigate and hunt suspicious activities, and a very nice feature of using Microsoft Sentinel, which Neil will showcase later on, is the automation and orchestration response. And these are standard and bespoke playbooks that we load up on our customers' accounts, depending on their requirements. On the right-hand side is we have the Bui Administration and Support, where we do our integration of the administration and support desks. And right at the bottom is the Bui Cyber SOC. You can see our SOC analyst sitting at his desk monitoring the customer information. This is a very high-level architecture overview for the cyber SOC. I'd like to take you through a quick case study. The reason why I chose this case study is it's not a really large business. This business is located in South Africa. They're around 300 headcount strong. So what this company does is they receive large data sets from our large financial sector, our large telecommunication companies, and within that data sets is the customer's financial statements that they're responsible for distributing. So the problem, the business problem they came to us with is they needed compliance requirements around large data sets, protection from PII information storage. So all of the personal information that I spoke to you about previously, cloud-based data storage and high volume transactions. In the end, we ticked all these boxes by implementing the Bui Cyber SOC services. Once again, it runs on Microsoft security technology. We use Microsoft Azure Sentinel to power our cyber SOC. I'd like to hand over to Neil at this time. Neil will be taking you through a demonstration around Microsoft Sentinel and how the data flows from your premise into our cyber SOC. Thank you very much, Neil.
Thank you. Let me just share my presentation here, and then we can begin. All right. So my part of the presentation, thank you very much, is about Azure Sentinel, right? So Microsoft Azure Sentinel, which is really the technology component, our platform. How do we enable these great SOC services, these great capabilities that that you heard about so far from Justin? How do we make that work, and what does it look like when it's in operation? And really, so introducing Sentinel to you, I think the three main focus areas, or as an introduction, the three things you need to understand about Sentinel is, firstly, that it is a cloud native SIEM. And this sort of differentiates it from your traditional SIEMs, which were on-premise, infrastructure heavy kind of an investment. So since we are a cloud native SIEM, we can take full advantage of cloud capabilities and cloud advantages like elasticity, the ability to dynamically scale up and scale back down as demand changes over time without needing to worry at all about the infrastructure component. Of course, Sentinel is for the cloud. So as businesses migrate more and more to the cloud, and I'm not only talking about virtual data center like Azure Data Center or even other clouds like AWS or Google Cloud, virtual machines in the cloud. I'm also talking about software as a service migration. So as organizations adopt more and more services like Office 365, Salesforce, ServiceNow, these cloud services that's become sort of part of our general business today. So absolutely Sentinel is for the cloud and it integrates very, very well within that paradigm. But also it is also for on-premise. So existing infrastructure that you currently manage on-premise, both from an asset point of view, so servers and endpoints and other infrastructure that you have on-premise, as well as your on-premise services for users, things like SharePoint or Exchange, if you still have these components lying around. Sentinel gives you coverage throughout all of these areas. So if we go on to the next item, I think one of the aspects that you would have noticed from Justin's part of the presentation was that we take a very holistic approach where it comes to security. So both from a security operations point of view, which is really, of course, the discussion for today, but also from security throughout the rest of your enterprise. So infrastructure protection mechanisms like firewalls and network security. User protection, user identity protection mechanisms like, for example, Azure Active Directory or even on-premise Active Directory. And also other things like threat protection, endpoint protection, EDR technologies, good old antivirus. All of these components make up the ecosystem of security that you have existing and that are evolving in the enterprise today. Security operations is the human element, or the soldiers on the wall, if you will, of conducting security operations across that ecosystem of security products. And Sentinel is our platform for bringing all of that together into a single pane of glass, into a single management interface that really enables these very scarce security operation resources to really perform security operations at scale. Whether you do that on your own, in conjunction with a partner like ourselves, in conjunction with our SOC, our Security Operations Center, or even completely outsourced to an organization such as BUI, where the Security Operations Center takes full responsibility for security operations in your organization. Of course, this never happens as a standalone thing. It's always integrated and within a context of collaboration and teamwork with your own resources. So what are the key benefits of having a cloud native SIEM? And I think the first and most important one, again, differentiating it from the traditional SIEMs that we've had around for many years now, is firstly, Sentinel provides instant value to your defenders. There is no large barrier to entry, new query language to learn, correlation language to learn. None of these things are really an element for your consideration when you deploy Sentinel. The Sentinel is, because it's a cloud service, is deployed very, very rapidly within a few hours, as opposed to months in the previous way of doing things. And immediately we can see value being delivered to your defenders. Secondly, we already spoke about scalability. Of course, we are taking full advantage of Azure cloud services. In particular, Sentinel is platform as a service. So scalability, automatic scalability to cope with demand increases and decreases in demand is built into the system. And lastly, I think this is key. We need to take advantage of new world technology, of technologies that enable us to do effective threat response. Well, firstly, threat detection, of course, and then threat response as part of that in very, very large data sets. Even smaller organizations from a security telemetry point of view, can generate vast amounts of security data. And for us in security operations, that's good news. We want that telemetry because we have the platform that can deal with that volume and speed of data influx, so big data, and being able to use things like AI, machine learning, these kinds of technologies to work with that data in a systematic and easy to use manner for our security operations. So some no-brainer advantages: it automatically scales, easy collection from cloud sources. Most of our cloud data sources are integrated into Sentinel with a single click, right? As opposed to needing complicated, collection architecture to be deployed. Avoid sending cloud telemetry downstream. This is a very important consideration for cloud computing. So as we are on our cloud journey, on our journey of migrating on-premise virtual machines and other workloads to the cloud, where it makes sense, of course, where we can take advantage of cloud benefits, we want to keep the data in the cloud that is already in the cloud. We do not want to move data back down from the cloud to on-premise because of the costs associated with such downstream data transfers. Key log sources are free. This is a key critical advantage for Sentinel, where security telemetry from basically all of Microsoft's threat protection products, XDR being an example, Microsoft Defender XDR, is ingested into Sentinel, analyzed and stored at absolutely zero cost. So this is a key advantage that our competitors are finding very hard to deal with. But there's more. Of course, because we are in the cloud, because we are using platform as a service, we can totally integrate the security operations center, this platform Sentinel, into a DevOps deployment pipeline, including enforcement. So we can integrate into modern application development, application rollout as part of the enterprise's model. It's distributed. It has a cloud-native schema. So there are more of these benefits, and I'm going to show you some examples of that coming up. Microsoft Security Advantage, of course, are three things listed here. Unparalleled investment into cybersecurity, a very large number of global security experts, and of course, orders of magnitude more security signal than I think can be compared with other vendors. One that's not mentioned here that I often also list is Microsoft's advantage in full integrated solutions. So Sentinel is pre-integrated with Microsoft's other security solutions, including things like Azure Active Directory Identity Protection, Defender for Endpoint, Defender for Office, the whole suite of Defender products, Defender XDR. So this tight integration, one-click integration into Sentinel, along with these ones, I think are key advantages. So in terms of the end-to-end security operations, of course, we did have this context of security operations do not exist in a bubble. It's integrated with the rest of the security estate. In fact, that's one of the key reasons why we want a SIEM platform, is we want to enable our security operations, that single point of contact, that single view into security across the enterprise. And we're going to do that in the traditional ways that SIEMs have empowered SOCs for a long time: collect, detect, investigate, and respond. But I think the key advantages here is our ability to respond. Was usually, in the SOC required a third-party product, another security product called a SOAR product, security automation, or security orchestration, automation, and response. This capability is built right into Sentinel. And this is why you'll often see Sentinel as referred to as a SIEM/SOAR solution. Within each of these categories, we tend to use specific naming. So for example, our collection gives us visibility into data. We're going to look at this in a moment, but one of the key advantages of having this Sentinel is the ability to visually explore security telemetry that's been ingested into the SIEM. Again, without needing to understand a single line of query code, you can visually explore security data in a very intuitive manner and able to drill down into the information that you need. Again, allowing security operations personnel a very simple to understand, very intuitive way to get to know the environment, even if they are brand new. At an intern level, the ability to understand security information is unparalleled. From a detection point of view, we've got both paradigms. Analytics, as in machine-driven detection, and hunting, human-driven detection. And we'll talk more about this in a moment. I often say analytics is a wide to narrow approach. So we're trying to pinpoint an attack, pinpoint a threat from a wide variety of angles. Threat hunting takes the different approach. It is a narrow to wide approach. So discover information, discover latent threats that may be subtly hidden in your environment that have not yet triggered our automated analytics. Of course, investigating incidents and then the ability to respond to that incident right within Sentinel is provided through incidents and automation. So I did already speak about this this holistic approach where Microsoft's in-depth XDR, Defender XDR as it's known today, providing this protection and detection capability on the endpoint, on identity, and even in SaaS applications. Not only Office 365, but any cloud integrated SaaS application that you have adopted as an organization. Also, from an infrastructure point of view, Azure Security Center, Azure Defender, the infrastructure component also integrated into Sentinel. So we really have both of these views, an in-depth view of being led by Defender XDR, and a wide view that's providing both user protection as well as infrastructure protection provided by Azure Security Center. So if we look at a little bit more detail on the collection side, we already saw some of this in the architecture diagram that you already saw, the ability for us to take data, source data from Office 365, from Azure, from security alerts generated by Microsoft's other security products, both for the customer's tenant, so your M365 and Azure environment, as well as other cloud adoption that you might have, and from on-premise. So all three of these main collection sources are represented with Sentinel. Most of the items on the left-hand side on the slide, Office 365, Azure, Microsoft Security Alerts, Intune, and Defender. These items are ingested into Sentinel at zero cost. The on-premise data and third-party clouds are also ingested in Sentinel, and Sentinel then gives us this ability, data store, automation, user interface, as that interface to the security operations people. This is just a little bit of a more of a detailed view of collecting information. So obviously collecting from third parties in a standardized way like syslog or common event format. We can do that from both from an on-premise and from a cloud point of view. And you can certainly contact us to find out more on exactly how Sentinel ingests this information. The point is ingestion, a hierarchical ingestion architecture that supports on-premise, cloud, and third-party security telemetry sources is supported by Sentinel. All right, so there's a full catalog. We can definitely provide you the list, or you can simply look at Sentinel's documentation for an extensive list of all the different sources that we support. But I'm confident you'll find your particular variety of firewall, network equipment, security solutions as part of that. So I spoke about visualization before, this ability to have visual exploration of data ingested in Sentinel. And you have a screenshot that shows you what that looks like on the right-hand side there. So those of you familiar with business intelligence solutions like Power BI, for example, would be very comfortable in this space. And from a security operations person point of view, we often refer to these people as security analysts. This is also a capability that they get, both from a perspective of just exploring security data. So before we're even detecting threats, before we're doing analytics or threat hunting, or any of these advanced things, automation that we can do in Sentinel. Just the ability to visually explore data ingested into the SIEM is very, very valuable. Also, this aids in investigation experiences. So when an investigation is underway, without needing to leave Sentinel or the Sentinel experience, you can actually then go and dig deeper into the data, find something specific, find the sign-in habits for a specific person without necessarily having to open a console into Azure AD and open a console into on-premise AD to find a specific user's sign-in patterns. You can see that right within Sentinel in these workbooks. Workbooks are also completely customizable. It's as simple as clicking the edit button to change the appearance of these visuals, change how they work if you want, or create your own dashboard, your own workbook, using again your own code, or using visualizations from all sorts of different workbooks into one dashboard. All of this is available to you and very intuitive, very easy to use. Here we have another example of a workbook. This one looks at sign-in analysis, so the example I used before. So you can see this is sign-ins for my whole organization, including geolocation data of sign-ins performed. But most importantly, I, of course, have these filter buttons up here. For example, this is showing information for all users. And I can use this to zoom in down to the department level or even down to the individual user level to get an instant report of a specific user. Full customization, of course, here we start looking at the query language that powers Sentinel. Again, like I said, this is not a barrier to entry as is usually the case. You don't need to understand this query language. It is often surprising to us how quickly even our interns pick up this query language because it's very, very, very intuitive. And it is provided for you as part of the experience, our analysts organically pick up new skills and learn the query language. Of course, there are courses and everything if you really want to become an expert at this. The point here is customizations of workbooks are included. You can, of course, instruct the workbook to display results in various ways. So there's all kinds of charts and visualizations, tables, etc., to really present the data back to you in the way that is most useful to you at that time. All right. From an analytics point of view, this is really our ability to teach Sentinel or to ask Sentinel to detect bad things going on in my environment on a completely autonomous basis using the AI and machine learning backend to facilitate that capability. So there are all more than 100 built-in analytics rules just built into Sentinel, and this number grows every day. But there are also hundreds of these analytics capabilities that are contributed by the community. So, of course, Sentinel has a very lively security professional community around it. And, chances are that the particular analytics rule that you're looking for have already been written. You're totally able to do to write these things yourself. But I think this is one of the key things that we have learned in our SOC, that as far as analytics rules are concerned, more is not more. less is more. For every kind of analytics rule active in your environment, Sentinel is going to look for alerts. This habit that we've had from years ago to just simply switch on all detection capabilities in the SIEM is primarily what got us into the situation of SIEMs being a noise machine, right? So hundreds and hundreds of alerts that are all false positives and very long and complicated projects to optimize the SIEM. Sentinel in many ways are self-optimizing through the use of baselines and behavior analytics that's built into the AI capability, but also our ability to configure analytics as we need them. The name of the game in Sentinel and in the SOC, of course, is to ingest activities, which can be billions of activities from all sorts of different sources. These activities are put through the anomaly detection machine learning algorithm that create us a set of, let's say, millions of anomalies. Further machine learning, probabilistic kill chain analysis using the MITRE attack framework will then take us in from millions of anomalies to hundreds of suspects. So we are really upping our level of confidence that this is a true positives. And then finally whittling them down to high severity incidents where we have a very high confidence level that this is actually a true positive. So giving us this ability of our analysts to really focus, be efficient with their time, but also highly effective at resolving incidents. Right. From an incidents point of view, incident screen looks very similar to the analytics screen. So of course, analytics is what are the things we're trying to detect. Incidents are what are the things we detected, right? And giving you this rich investigation experience. In fact, yes, here we go. Here's a screenshot of that investigation experience. I call this the modern way of doing pivot tables, right? So the investigation experience is completely graphical. In fact, what we can see here is there was an anomalous login detected of this user, Darcy, logging into this here machine. And when you first open the investigation experience, these elements or entities, as we call them, connected by this orange line, are the only things that are visible as part of the alert. What we then do as part of the investigation experience is we pivot on these entities. So we pivot on the user account, for example. So we ask the question, what other machines are this user signing into? And what other alerts in the system are associated with this user? We do the same thing on the device. So what websites was served to on this device? And also, are there any alerts associated with this device? And this is exactly what we found. In addition to the anomalous login, we found a suspicious PowerShell being executed using the very same two entities. So the same machine and the same user not only performed an anomalous login, but also performed a suspicious PowerShell execution. So this investigation, although it started as a medium confidence, medium severity investigation, now obviously goes through the roof, because now we have a very high confidence that this is a true positive, and we immediately need to respond to this. But this ability to graphically again pivot and run through vast amount of data in almost a gamified experience for an analyst is really core to the ability for us to drive those two factors in the SOC: efficiency and effectiveness. There's all sorts of other capabilities. For example, the ability to write within the interface, trigger a URL to the Microsoft threat, sandbox environment, sandbox detonation environment, to make a determination on whether a URL is likely a phishing URL. And other enrichment capabilities built right into the environment. from a hunting point of view, looks very similar to incident screen, right? But as I said before, where analytics is the wide to narrow approach, wide set of data, I want to narrow in on a specific threat. Hunting is human-driven, so not machine-driven necessarily. It's human-driven, and it's a narrow to wide approach. Narrow, specific kind of evidence I'm looking for, and I want to look for that evidence across my entire data set. Again, giving us best of both of these worlds. Threat hunting as a practice used to be reserved for only the most advanced security operations people, security operations teams. But today, using Sentinel, this capability has been democratized to the point of being, this is a routine part of our SOC experience today. All right, so I'm going to move on. As part of threat hunting, again, we get this ability, just like with workbooks, those dashboards, to visually explore the results. But not only that, we keep our ability to drill into the results. So for example, if we, like in this chart, see an anomalous reading, all of a sudden there's a huge peak in this one particular smart diagnostics results, we can actually click on this bar and get a breakdown, again, powered by machine learning, of what caused this anomaly to happen, and then further our investigation on that. Right. From a more advanced threat hunting point of view, we of course also have this capability of integrating with Jupyter notebooks. Some of you might be familiar. And this is really taking our narrow to wide approach in terms of threat hunting to an advanced curated experience, so a guided hunt. So these security professionals, both Microsoft and community security professionals, write these notebooks that are a guided search through your environment, with branching logic to say, well, search for these kinds of anomalies. If you find them, depending on the type of anomaly, go down this path and go down that path, and really guiding you through a hunt, through an investigation experience. Again, as far as the analyst is concerned, as performing the hunt, they don't need to know the intricacies of the code behind this guided hunt, and they can really provide the results as that would usually be reserved for a data scientist level security analyst. All right. Last thing that I want to focus on here is automation. So we spoke about this a little bit so far, the ability to not only perform SIEM actions, but also SOAR actions, security orchestration, automation and response, the ability to right from within Sentinel, get your security ecosystem to respond to an attack on your behalf or directed by you. Now, creating these logic apps, these playbooks as they're called, the step-by-step actions is, again, you don't need to know a scripting language or have a different script depending on what infrastructure you have. This is almost like PowerPoint for automation. These elements on the right-hand side, you can see there, can do integration with your help desk system. In this case, we're using integration with ServiceNow. We're posting messages to teams, right? So right within collaboration, allowing the SOC to use collaboration tools already in the business, right? Like Teams and SharePoint. There's an approval email that goes out that requests approval for a response to take place. So you can follow this branching logic. So it's not only click a button and block an IP address or click a button and block a user account. It can be integrated using elegant approval workflows. And this is something that we often use depending on, with our customers. So within our SOC, we fully support this teamwork way of operating between our security analysts and the customer security team. And we want to create a synergy there, but still allow Sentinel and our security tooling to integrate into that synergy. So getting an approval from the customer before we make changes to the environment is obviously part of that. And these logic apps allow us to do that. Yes, just a bit of a zoom in on that. Like we said, create an incident, post a message to Teams, send an approval email, depending on the result of the approval. So the email has got 2 buttons, approve or reject. If the approval email is approved, we are going to, in this case, block a user account in Azure AD and block an IP address on the Palo Alto. So we do this all the time. This is a very simple example of a workflow. Of course, our workflows are sometimes much more complicated, many more branches, but it really works in integrating the security ecosystem, integrating the security process into Sentinel. We use also our playbooks for different reasons. So that the example you saw was in a response mechanism, so responding to an incident. But we can also use these playbooks for enrichment and investigation. You might have noticed before, we have the ability to detonate a URL in a sandbox environment and get a verdict back on whether the URL is possibly a phishing URL. So we can take advantage of these third-party security services to enrich the investigation experience. So, for example, I can take an IP address and I want to ask if this IP address is associated with malware on a case-by-case basis. Of course, you can ingest security intelligence telemetry like that into the SIEM and have it as part of the data set. But you can also do this on demand, ad hoc, when needed. And then, of course, we had our example that combined both incident management and remediation. All right, so last call to action from me. You can find more information, including this presentation that you just saw, and a lot of very good other materials by visiting aka.ms/Azure Sentinel. So if you want to find out more, please feel free to look around in this area, or you can just speak to us. And that's it from me. Thanks, Justin.
Great. Thank you very much, Neil. Let me just grab the screen back from you there quickly. Excellent. Well, that's great. Thank you very much, Neil. Yeah, just a side note, if anyone on the call would like further details or maybe a more specific demonstration rather than presentation around the cyber SOC and how we use Sentinel, please reach out to your account manager within MC3. So on this slide, what I'd like to just take you through is a quick billing example of how we bill the cyber SOC. The numbers in this example are fictitious, so you don't look too deep into those numbers. So the way we bill at the end of the day is there's 2 parts to the billing. The one part will be the ingestion charge of your data security logs into Microsoft Azure. This bill is paid to Microsoft or your provider directly. The second is the managed service level agreement, which is a fee that BUI and MC3 will charge for the particular SLA. So what we've done around the cyber SOC is we've created 4 different levels of service level agreements, which is the bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. The way I like to look at the SOC is for your business hours and extended hours is the bronze and silver offerings. If you need or require more assistance with regards to 24/7, we would have to look at the gold or the platinum offerings. Just a reminder again that our cyber SOC utilizes the Azure Sentinel, Microsoft Azure Sentinel, as our SIM of choice to run our SOC. And just some side notes with regards to the SLAs. There's no take-on costs, or there are no software costs. This is our SLA matrix with regards to our cyber SOC offering. We've got the bronze, silver, gold, and platinum, as I mentioned before. And there you'll see on the left-hand side is the purpose of the offerings, all the additional services that we offer with each of these SLAs. And I think as a special, introductory, and also celebrating our first or initial relationship with MC3, we'd like to offer the bronze service, which is a notification service to the attendees on this call at a zero service charge. So you'll only be receiving one bill, and that would be for your Microsoft Azure ingestion. There will not be any service fee payable to MC3 or BUI for the managed service on that side. So I think one part just to take note around that is the bronze SLA is a pure notification service, so you won't be receiving a physical phone call from our SOC analyst, but meanwhile you'll be receiving automated communication from the SOC itself. And I think with that we've come to the end of the presentation. I'd like to thank you again for your attendance. If you need any information or further information, or if you'd like to set up another meeting with us and MC3 to take a bit of a deeper look into your infrastructure and how we can assist you, please reach out to your account manager at MC3 and we'll get that set up for you. Thank you very much again for your time, and looking forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you. Back to you, Shalini.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Justin and Neil, for this insightful presentation. So our team at MC3 will connect with you guys, and we'll be able to take this conversation further. And we'll be sending you this presentation and the recording of the meeting as well. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.